We all do it, stare at screens. There are TVs, tablets, computers, and those ubiquitous smartphones. Young people seem increasingly addicted to them, and that has parents struggling over how to best monitor and even limit their children's screen time. How worried should parents be? And what does scientific research say about the effects of excessive screen time on brain development? That's what Dr. Delaney Ruston set out to learn with her new documentary, Screenagers. Here's a clip.
A young adolescent brain can oscillate back and forth very, very quickly, but it comes at a cost.
I'm so distracted by my phone, so it's hard to listen to a teacher and actually understand what they're saying.
What's extraordinary about the studies on multitasking is even though you're doing worse and worse on everything you're doing, you feel as though you're doing better and better.
Who's there to catch you at home? Your mom? You can outsmart her easily. No offense. Yeah, Mom, it's a really hard math thing.
And joining me now is filmmaker and physician Delaney Ruston. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So what made you decide to do this documentary?
Oh, I was really struggling as a mom. I had a teenager girl who wanted more social media and a boy who wanted more video games. And I wanted to know as a physician the impact of all this screen time. But really as a mom, I really wanted to know what to do. So that's why I made the film.
So what is the impact? What does the scientific research show?
Yeah. Well, I think there's evidence about this can affect empathy. Development of empathy really depends on reading social cues. And the science shows that when they take away devices, kids actually perform better on studies that look at their ability to look at these social cues. That makes me concerned.
What about effects on learning and memory? Has there been research done on that as well?
Well, we have some data that's just come out about mice. And when they take young mice and they put them in a room with flashing lights and sounds to mimic the screen time of kids, what's amazing is that the part of the brain that's responsible for learning and memory does not develop the same number of neurons as a baby mice that wasn't exposed to these. And the effect is ultimately permanent, and it's concerning. We obviously can't do the same kind of experiments on kids, but it's just to note that this is a developmental time that we're giving kids often excessive screen time.
And so we did a poll on Twitter because this is an issue that so many parents face, right? And we asked parents, do you limit your kids' screen time? 44% said yes, strictly. 38% said they try to, and 18% said no, we do not police it. What should parents do?
Well, absolutely. What's needed is so hard to do, but actually to have some concrete guidelines. And the way that we're going to help kids to develop self-control is actually to have rules. It seems kind of contradictory, it doesn't make sense. You kind of think they should just do this on their own. It's hard, though, to decide what to do, and it comes from conversations with kids, getting their input. And so I'll give you an example. For us, for example, we don't use our cell phones when we're driving in the car. We talk. We don't use them at the dinner table, and we don't use them in the bedrooms at night. But you know what's really interesting? Making this documentary, I learned that parenting is so private. People would tell me all the time, I'm having all these problems. And I would say, well, what kind of solutions are you trying? And people would be really hesitant to say. They felt really judged. And that's why, it's so important that we're having these type of talks about what we can do.
Just to let parents know that there are many other parents facing the same issue, and if we can work together, maybe some solutions can come out that all parents can find a way to negotiate them into their homes. We also went to Facebook and asked, parents what they do about limiting their kids' screen time. Elizabeth Berg said she never worried about it much. It didn't seem to have much of an impact. Her son ended up getting a degree in aerospace engineering. Another woman said her son is now at UC Berkeley and on a full scholarship, even though she never limited screen time. But of course, there were other parents who, said the opposite, that they don't have cable, they don't have DVDs, they do games and crafts with their kids, and it doesn't become an issue. Is there a middle ground here?
Well, in Screenagers, one of my favorite stories that the film looks at is a young girl who really wanted, she was in 8th grade, social media. And when she couldn't have it, she ended up sneaking it. And when some social cruelty did happen, she was so devastated that she couldn't go to her mom. So the key thing really is deciding within the family what seems reasonable, but making sure that there are guidelines. And, you know, it's writing them down, but being flexible and having weekly conversations. So many, I don't know how often this happens to you, but it's grabbing the device in the moment. And it's just being reactionary and angry. And setting up this cat and mouse thing isn't good at all for helping kids to navigate this. And so these weekly conversations on our website, screenagersmovie.com, we really foster this.
Well, I have a 9-year-old, so this is definitely an issue, an ongoing issue for us in the car, at home, in the bedroom. Parents, though, are they setting a bad example as well? Because they're constantly checking their phones, many of them.
Oh, gosh, there's so many parents that talked to me when I was making the film. I feel so guilty because I know I should be modeling well and I'm not. And I said, well, what are your personal guidelines? Because you can never, you know, reach a goal if you don't have them. And they go, I don't really have it. My goal is just to do it less. And as a physician, I know behavior change never works that way. So ultimately, I talk to parents about setting 1 or 2 goals and talking to their kids about what they're trying to get better at. Maybe they've been texting at the dinner table and they know that that's not really healthy for their communication with their kids.
So now that the film is out, you've been showing it to a lot of schools and also to companies, Pixar, for example. What would you like to see happen next?
Oh, well, for me, it's all about getting parents and kids and educators together, because this is the biggest parenting issue of our time. It's not just like a psychological issue. This is physiologic. And kids want this screen time so much. So we have to get the schools, the kids, and the parents to talk about how we're going to help them find balance. And so that's why our film is all about showing in the community, so people come together. And the goal is a lot of conversations, weekly conversations, rather than this angry cat and mouse.
All right, all good advice. Dr. Delaney Ruston, thank you. And thank you for the documentary.
Thank you so much.